everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is RicketyGames. I'm Sydney, and today we are back with Alan Wake 2. So we have just discovered Nightingale's corpse. Hopefully it stays a corpse. And we just got the other side of the conversation with Saga when, like, her and Alan met. And then we just found out that Parliament Towers in this, like, dark, like, dream, dark place version of New York, that Alan is in right now, like, has shifted. So we gotta get to Parliament Tower. So here our goals are to get to the apartment in Parliament Tower. So I'm assuming we have to get out of this cave somehow. We got rid of the dark presence for now. What does this say? The writer of the first word, not the writer of the last. With the... Oh, can I do
Who was writing who? Who was writing this poem? Me? No.
I don't think so. The writer of the first word, not the writer of the last, with the terror of the light, and the shadows cast. The third eye now open, to project the night. This is the moment to write. This is the ritual to lead you on. Your friends will meet him when you are gone. That's interesting. Your friends will meet him when you are gone kind of gives me Mr. Scratch vibes. As in, like, you will stay, but the people that meet the emerging writer don't really realize it's not him. Writer of the first word, but not the writer of the last. So that kind of implies that maybe Alan's story, he doesn't have the last word, like something else, maybe Saga, or something else has to, like, close it out. I think we just gotta go this way. It doesn't honestly look like there's much to loot. It's just sort of dark water. And we don't want to poke the bear behind us, which is the giant dark presence. So we'll just continue on. I'm excited. Whoa. Oh, we got another one of these. I'm excited to do more. Last time I was so I don't know if I was here. Almost. We gotta, like, get the full. There we go. Yes, no, yes, no, yes. What did I do?
Murder site. Stepping to the murder site, I'd felt it hanging in the air. A meaning, the violent emotion of the act, like a cloud of wrath. The dead eyes of the victim staring at something you couldn't see, and yet making you aware of it. Something that soaked into this place on a molecular level, overlapping with your meaningless existence. Regression to something you had managed to forget, marking you, taking you for a ride, making you crazier.
Maybe Alex Casey is the last writer, because he's very articulate. Whoa, man. It's so trippy to see those visions. It's really cool. I'm also, like, really glad to see more of, like, Alan's work. We hear so much of how he's a writer. It's actually really cool to, like, experience his writings. Like, more, like, for what he's known for, right? Like, obviously we've been seeing, like, Alan's writing, as in he writes The Dark Place, and he's been writing the tale he's in after the writer, so, like, American Nightmare and stuff. But it's really cool to see, like, his, you know, ooh, we're back. His, you know, magnum opus, what he did. So we're back here. I love these signs. I've always had a vivid imagination, but this dream unsettled me. It was wild and dark and weird, even by my standards. So yes, it began with a dream. They're so fun. Like, last time I was, like, enjoying the snarky, like, this. You're a lousy writer. That does not get old. Up? Yes, sure. Oh, it's inside. I keep doing that. How do we... It's so hard to get. That one behind the gate, too, took me, like, forever. I'm just killing my battery. I've killed my battery. How do I get it? Oh. I reloaded it so my battery's back. Maybe this will be better. I think I already got this. So I looked up. I was like, how can I get this? And it says that there are no words of power in this chapter. So I guess I must have already gotten it either when I came here, maybe the first time, or maybe this is the train that was in kind of that ritual area we were changing around, and there was that like one we could turn the light on and off or something. I don't remember. Anyway, we can't get it, so I reloaded so we didn't have to waste our battery on it, because with Alan, once you're out of battery, you're like out of battery, which is kind of frightening. With Saga, when she runs out, she has like a rechargeable battery of some kind. So it's kind of interesting that he doesn't get
The
like...
station had changed. I was closer now.
Yes? Because I came from this way? Or no? Oh no, I haven't. Oh, can I take it? Oh yeah, that's right. To get out of here, that's right. And we had... Ooh. Was all this here when I was here before? Ugh. Ugh, I feel like last time I was playing was a dream. I was so tired. I was like, I hope this coherent.
Parliament
There
Tower.
it is.
Our home in New York. Was I really this close to being home? Going up to our apartment? Would I be home? Or was this just an echo of the real thing? Even then, the murder site had brought me one step closer to escape.
True. I feel really bad for Alan. Like, imagine being so close. I'll take this. Thank you. Imagine being so close and being taunted by, like, visions and the environment of home, right? Like, this is New York, the dark version of New York. And I imagine just being here is, like, reminiscent of, like, what it would be like to be back. Is there a phone? It is. Is it the phone again? Is it a trap? But I can't imagine what it's gonna be like being... Oh yeah, you guys. Being like actual home, like in your apartment where, you know? Go away. I thought your friend was a little bit more twitchy, but I guess not. Wasting my batteries. Is it coming from inside? The dark place. Ooh. If that doesn't tell you it's an echo, Alan. Oh. So it must be in here? I think so. Ooh, there's an echo here. It's like over this way? Oh, almost. Almost.
Maybe a writer. Maybe he was a victim. The cult, using his words. Or maybe he was the monster behind it all. Either way, Alice Wake, his ex, she knew things. It was there in her art for all to see. A cry for help. The darkness she'd witnessed. And that put her in danger.
Was Alice here? In the story?
Whoa, the fact that Alex Casey, his creation, is investigating his own writer's wife. I wonder if Alex Casey in this scenario, like, this is the Alex Casey that was written by Alan Wake, not the Alex Casey in the real world. And Alex Casey here, I think he is aware that he's a figment of the writer. Like, he's a character from Alan, even though he's alive, because he talks about like Alan the writer. And then when they confronted each other, it was so trippy. It's so trippy. I don't think Alice is here. I feel like there's only one Alice, and I feel like to make any kind of copy of her. Oh, it opens. No, thank you. I feel like to make a copy of Alice, the real Alice, I feel like that. I feel like her light, so to speak, like especially in the eyes of Alan, like all that she does for him, is too powerful for the dark place to take, if that makes sense. Oh God! All right, going up. It must feel so weird to be like home but not home. Like I said, like that must be just so like daunting, and like what a taunt, you know? Ugh. It's very Shining vibes, elevator. Oh, whoa! We found the chapter.
Alice's photo equipment. Set to go off when the door opens.
That's rude. Set to go off when the door opens. What if it's like... I don't know. You'll scare the living shit out of anybody. Can you imagine like trying to order like food or groceries to your door? And it's like... Hi, I'm here with your food. Just get blown apart by the lights. I'm sure this is just for us. But could you imagine? It's just set up here to like fuck with you. Anybody who enters, you better be looking fine. Oh, Alice, your damn photo equipment.
Get out! Leave me alone!
Alice!
Oh shit.
Alice!
Oh shit. This looks very different from the apartment. Close that, please. Yeah. This looks very different from the apartment that was in the first Alan Wake. Am I crazy? There was a drawer thing here or no? I think it was just the door. Oh, that's less than good. What'd you do to my wife?
Alice.
Pick photos for the exhibition posters. You look closer, a little closer. Oh, these are so dark.
This is a photo of Scratch. How did Alice get this?
Yeah, that's right.
Is he stalking her?
Well, yeah, probably. We know he was stalking her, but we don't know that she knew of Mr. Scratch. He made it clear that he was giving glimpses of himself to her to kind of drive her insane, thinking that she would see Alan, that Alan might have been alive. But we don't know that she ever really interacted with Scratch at any point. I'm sure it probably happened. Sounds like it did from the horror. Squiggly
This
door?
is the door to my study, where I wrote my books.
With the squiggle on the door?
The symbol wasn't here before.
Yeah, this is a different apartment. Or a condo, probably, more likely. We go on the ladder? Nope. All the books look so neat. They're always like these like same copy books. My bookcases have like 1,000 different books. Like it looks like this, but like all over and not uniform. Oh, is this her camera?
Alice's video camera. No memory card inside.
I feel like I have this camera. One of these cameras looks like it looks like a Sony camcorder with the HD on top. I'm sure I have it somewhere. So we gotta look for a memory card. All right. Video art doc on screens, multiple screens maybe, and then focal point of the dark place. Ooh. Interesting. Because she did emerge from the dark place. I can't imagine that would have left her unscathed. Like, she had to pull herself out of this lake in the middle of Cauldron Lake. No one around her. Part 1. Oh, found it. Let's just, yeah, okay.
Alice's memory card.
Yeah, baby. She leaves dirty plates of what looks like spaghetti around. Wine, water, books everywhere. Ma'am. What is this? I can't see it. Is it peanut butter? I can't tell. Can we look in the fridge? David Fincher says you can get to know a lot about a person by looking in their fridge. Is this, I wonder if this is the film that she was gonna screen in American Nightmare. I'm forgetting her name, but the film projectionist that we meet in that game, she's really good friends with Alice and convinced Alice to like make basically like a documentary about Alan in a way. Memory card. I'm sure this will be cheery. It's either gonna be really scary or really sweet. Whoa.
When I was younger, photography was everything to me. I moved to New York thinking I'd make it as an artist. And then I met Alan. We had a good thing. We were both dedicated by our creative ambitions. The only difference was that Alan's work made money. He brought me work when he could. I took his promo shots, created covers for his books. I'm sure he forced his publisher into it. I was taking photos, just not my photos. And that gnawed at me. Things got complicated sometimes, but that's life, right? We loved each other. Then Alan hit a block. I brought out a meaner side of him. One I didn't like. I set up a trip to see a doctor in Washington. I didn't tell him until we got there. We argued. Things went wrong. And he was just gone. Drowned, allegedly. It's easy for people to think it was my fault. Hell, I do, too, sometimes. About 6 years ago, I started hearing noises in the night. Typewriter keys clacking. Voices. Alan was back. Haunting me. Then it got violent. It was Alan. And yet, it was a monster. He always did have anger in him. I set up cameras around the apartment with motion sensors and flashes. Now, when the monster comes, I turn it into art. My nightmares caught on film. And this is the focus of my new exhibition. To show people the world is so much darker than they ever knew. I'm calling this exhibit The Dark Place.
Alice. Scratch was terrorizing her.
Yep.
Why?
Why? Bro, he's trying to take your entire life. You know why. But this Alan that we're playing here might not remember, because he seems to kind of reset every time he, like, dives back into the writer seat. Like, when he, like, astral projects himself, as he put it, he seems to be, like, aware of what's going on, but he remembers, like, pieces of the story as a character, because he's kind of writing it as it happens, whereas, like, he, the writer, remembers everything. So he might not remember that, but Scratch did tell him, he was like, I want to take over your whole life. Really sad to hear from Alice, as we kind of thought. But Alice's character is really interesting to me, and she gets caught up, like quite a lot of women, wives do. Like, it's kind of a old tale, and sadly one that's probably still current for many, that and it is not just wives, but it's people that, like, they get involved with a partner, and then that partner's life just takes over theirs. And what's kind of sad with Alice, and something that I was always irked me about Alice, was that, like, her whole life was about Alan. And you know that she probably had ambitions outside of Alan, and this tape confirms it. Obviously, she's a photographer. She met him, you know, as one artist and another. But when they fell in love, and, like, when his career took off, like, it just got, you know, more complicated, as she put it, because his career and his fame and his money and stuff, like, becomes, like, more important. And the problem is that people in that position, in those relationships, they fall for that. And while, you know, they're thinking that they're doing something nice for their partner, they end up losing themselves in the process. And that loss of self just gets worse over the years unless you can kind of refocus on yourself. And I mean, that's really hard to do when this, obviously, when it brings in money, when it's, like, everywhere, when every book you read and your name even is associated with your partner, right? Like, she's not Alice, she's Alice Wake. She's Alan Wake's wife. So she's not really a person in her own right anymore. And it got worse, like, the bigger that he got. And then I understand her guilt in feeling that she's responsible for Alan's, like, death, because he disappeared into the dark place. That, I feel, that makes sense, and I figured that would affect her as much. People blaming her for the death of Alan is interesting because there's no body. Like, there was no corpse. The man just disappeared. A lot of people assumed that he was dead because he was gone for so long. And at this point, yeah, definitely, because it's been 13 years. But it's still kind of interesting that, I mean, fans and people that would defend Alan would always kind of jump to the conclusion that, like, she had something to do with it. That, like, you know, they had marital issues, so she got rid of him, or she was jealous as an artist or something like that. But it's kind of interesting to hear. I wonder if she knew the dark place as we know it, or if it is a coincidence, likely a coincidence, but also influenced by Scratch. It's also interesting to know that the photography is there to capture Mr. Scratch, and that's how she got the picture of him. So she thinks it's Alan haunting her, which is what we know Mr. Scratch's intentions were. But it's very interesting to see how she dealt with it. And her perspective from the cabin, because we don't really know what happened after Alan Wake went to the cabin way back in the first game. She was just gone, and she's saying that he is just gone. So she doesn't seem to remember maybe waking up from the lake and stuff. Maybe her mind reset to the moment that they had the argument and she got taken. Let's just check out what's on this thing. But those are my thoughts. Oh, Scratch. Is this the cabin?
I sat in the writer's room and wrote a story. Initiation. To project myself through the dark place, to look for a way out.
Okay.
The story had brought me here, brought me nowhere. Looped me back. I was writing the story. And in the story, I now stepped into the writer's room. But there was no one here writing.
Mr. Scratch do that? Scratched out. What? So soon? Oh man, so short. This must be the, well, I don't know, because I want to say that this is the inception of Mr. Scratch, like where he came from, since Alan was trapped and he kept like looping himself in the dark place, and I feel like that's what happened with American Nightmare. Like things were just looping over and over again, and he couldn't find the way to change it to get out until the very end, chasing down Mr. Scratch. But Mr. Scratch was in that game, and if these are in chronological order, then it would imply that Mr. Scratch was already around, that the way that we know it to be true. However, this moment here kind of feels like the origins of Scratch, so maybe it's back in time, or maybe he's remembering when it happened. The other thought I had was Alice's invocation of the dark place in her art. I wonder if that does anything. Like, I wonder if calling it the dark place and kind of showing this art exhibit, because we know art is what triggers Cauldron Lake, and while she might not be there, I don't know, like her essence might be still attached to it because of her experience there and being dragged there, so maybe it can still reach her. Either way, I wonder if her invocation of the dark place through her art opens anything, like if it opens like a rift or anything that kind of helps pull the real world that she's in and the dark place like closer together, and that all of these events are like helping like merge the two worlds so there's an overlap for like Alan to get through, because we need to know like how he gets back, obviously, and this is part of his telling the story, because remember, he's in the room with Saga and Alex Casey, the FBI agent, and he's telling them this story. He's recounting everything that we're seeing here in Initiation. So we need to find out what Initiation, the novel, is, how he started writing that, ended that, and then got into Return. So I think Initiation, I mean, so far it seems like Alan's maybe first attempt at Return to get out, or that Return, he got stuck and got writer's block, and then in that stuck moment, Mr. Scratch took him, scratched out Return, and then we kind of have this mini novel in there from Initiation, and maybe Initiation starts where he got blocked in Return. I'm trying to just theorize and put it together as I go. I mean, I don't know anything more than what I've seen. I stay away from everything online. I haven't seen anybody else play it. I haven't read anything. But it's very interesting to see kind of the evolution of Alan. I love that he's consistently kind of always going for Alice. Like, she's his beacon, even after all of this time. I feel really bad for Alice, though, that she, like, lost, essentially, like, her artist self and kind of a lot of her life to Alan. She was also kind of just a character that was very, like, I don't know, she came off very weak to me. And it's really cool to see Alice maybe a little bit stronger. She's obviously more mature, she's older, she's been through a lot at this point because of the dark place. So it's kind of nice to see Alice take control of her own life, and acknowledge that the relationship that she had with Alan was both good and bad. And I think that hopefully they can grow from there. I would hate for her to fall into the same trap, and I would hope that after all of these years that she would be able to recognize herself and her self-worth alongside Alan, and that when he gets back he has a little bit more appreciation for her and life as they used to have it. And that seems to be the case with Alan generally, because he's fighting so hard to get back to that, and he realizes through a lot of the games, I would say through The Signal and The Writer, even American Nightmare, but through those original two DLCs, you learn so much about Alan's subconscious and how he realizes he was a huge dick. Anyways, this was a very short part, So these chapters are very interesting to me because they're like, some of them are super long, like 2 hours, 2+ hours. And then I try to cut them down to something. And then others are like this, where they're like super short. So it's very interesting. I'm loving all of the chapters so far. They're all kind of piecing everything together as it does. I'm excited for the next one. I believe the next one is Saga. I think we return to the real world and find out what's going on there. I'm pretty sure that's the case, but we'll find out. I'll see you guys in the next episode, and enjoy Alan Wake 2. Goodbye!